Okay. Go
All
ahead.
right, so this video will cover Splunk, boss of the SOC. If you've never heard of Splunk, it is a log management system, but it really does a great job of taking information from as many devices as possible, puts them together in one place that is easy to search. It's basically your Google for logs. It is easy to install and configure, and really, even though it is expensive, it is definitely the top of the class. There are other products like it, like Elk Stack and Logarithm, and they'll have they'll have their setups, and not everything works all the time, or like Security Onion. But this Splunk definitely does the job, and it does the job well. So this will introduce you into the world of Splunk through a game that Splunk makes every year called Boss of the SOC. To begin with, you don't need any virtual machines. This is all through the browser. You will, though, need to go to either one of these two sites, splunk.samsclass.info or splunk2.samclass.info. In either or, you'll need to log in as student one with password student one, at which point you will be introduced to the Splunk search. This is the main place where you'll spend your time in Splunk, is running searches for answers. So that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like right now in live. Because we're looking at information that was 4 years ago from the first boss of the SOC, we're going to make a couple changes in order to search. If you were looking for something that happened last week, there are different items to search. For example, you could search in real time if something just happened up to 30 seconds. You could search relative. You can define what time frame you want to search, whether all your logs at once or just a small sample. But to get started, we're going to choose the index called bots v1, so we can copy this into our search. So the whole point of this is to narrow our search from everything down to the item we're looking for. So we start by picking the right indice that we're going to use. In this case, we're going to use bots v1. If we had different servers connected and different routers connected, we would pick the index that belongs to that one device that we're looking for, or set of devices that we're looking for. In order to minimize our search, because all of us will be running searches, instead of the last 24 hours, we're going to hit all time, and then we're going to choose the sample of 1 to 100. So over here is where you can choose the time, and we're going to go all time. And down here, we're going to choose our sampling of 1 to 100. If you hit search, the green button with the magnifying glass, this will pull up events from all time and do a sampling of them. And now we can start to see event logs. You can also see the many fields that were found by Splunk and already tallied up. So if, for example, we wanted to see HTTP statuses, we know that there's 8 of them in this search. If we wanted to look at what protocols were used, we see 14 protocols were used, so on and so forth. This, especially getting started, this left side is very easy to use and helpful in defining what you want in your search. So we're going to further our search down by saying the source type. In our case, we're going to use a source type of HTTP. So to our search, right now we did only the index of bots versus bots version 1, and we said all time in sample 1 to 100, and we have 9,500 events. Adding a source type will remove unnecessary events, and now that brings it down to 249. So you see we're minimizing the events, we're narrowing down to what we're looking for. So as you can see, just by scrolling down, you have your information that you kind of would see in something like Wireshark, organized a little differently, but it's still the same thing. You see where things are coming from, what information is coming from, where it's going to, the destination MAC address. You see locations. You see all this information already sorted out. And it highlights because you can search by that item. You can add it to your search. If we want to see events of a certain website, we can add it to the end of our search and further our search down to just that website from anything that was streamed via HTTP within that index. In this way, we've narrowed down our search to a point where we can begin to answer these questions. So I will help you through the first 5. So for example, the first one is we have to find the brand name of the vulnerability scanner, and it is covered by a green box right here. So you're looking for something similar to this. Now that we already narrowed down the index, the source type, and the website, we can begin to look at these events to find our answer. And just by scrolling down, you may land at the answer right away. You see, it'll look something like this. So you should be able to see it within this first page. When you find that, you'll then need to find the attacker's IP address. You actually don't need to change what you're searching for in your query, but you do need to keep an eye out so you find out what you find out what the name of the vulnerability scanner is. So you find out what machine launched this vulnerability scanner. A lot of the Splunk questions work from each other. So if you solve this first one, you'll use the information from here to solve the next one to find its IP address. When you find that attacker's IP address, then you can proceed to finding what server is hosting the website, the I'm really not Batman.com. Again, all these 3 are tied to one another. So you'll need to find the vulnerability scanner first, find the name of it. Then you find what IP address launched the vulnerability scanner. Once you have those 2 pieces, then you can see what website or what is the web server, the IP address of the web server hosting this site. At that point, after solving these 3, we can move on to item number 4, where we want to find the name of the file used to deface I'm really not Batman.com. Now it was downloaded from a web server, so the server's IP is a client, not a destination. Client IP addresses are shown by CIP. So you'll need to use CIP up here. And again, you're using the server's, you need to use the web server's IP address as the client, not the destination. You can also filter by looking at the URI values, and you can add URI as an item in your search to narrow down from 242 down to the 9 that you'll need to answer this question. Lastly, you'll need to find the fully qualified domain name used by the staging server, this question can be answered directly from 1.4. So again, these questions work from one to the other to the other. It is generally a good idea to work your way linearly through bots of the SOC because the way the questions are worded. But just like with everything else, if you need any help, please reach out to us.
Okay, shall I stop the recording?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.